Good day. This is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. This is Stephen Adei welcoming you back to our Abundant Living series. Today, my topic is abundant living requires abundant values, or abundant living requires core values. In other words, you cannot live abundantly if you don't have certain principles that guide you and that every now and then you are working out how you should behave. Almost all studies that try to define successful and effective people always include in them the fact that those people are characterized by certain principles. Some of you may be aware of Stephen Covey's book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. In it, he says that effective people tend to be proactive. They tend to have vision, that is, they begin with the end in view. They prioritize, in other words, they manage their personal life, putting first things first. Instead of looking to themselves and being selfish, they always think in a synergic way, win-win. In other words, their interpersonal relationship is such that they focus on bettering each other in their relationships, not living selfishly. He also mentioned the fact that they seek always to understand first. That was, they have an empathic way of communicating with others. Again, they synergize, that they learn to work in a cooperative way instead of being competitive. And finally, they are continuous learners, principles of personal development all the time, therefore renewing themselves. In my own book, which I titled Man Living by Strategy, I found out that there are 12 types of characteristics of those who lead themselves well. In other words, the principles of effective personal leadership, such as they tend to anchor their life to a firm position. In that case, I was talking about Jesus Christ as Lord of their lives. In another book, of course, of Stephen Covey, First Things First, he calls it the True North Principle. I mentioned also the importance of positive thinking, the importance of being a man or a woman of character in terms of having excellence mentality in whatever you do. Again, being sure that you are committed to some core values, you are continuously learning, you are a critical thinker, being willing to persevere, that's tenacity, and being mission, vision, and goal-driven. I added the importance of effective time management, learning to work with others synergy, and above all, having faith. It's a tall list. When it comes to those who overall live abundantly, in the midst of all this, having studied my own, that of people like Stephen Covey and the rest, I want this morning to say that there are four values which I have found in the midst of all these lists here and there for people who enjoy life, live abundantly, and are self-possessed. And these four are what I want to share this morning. If we want to live abundantly, these four values must be part and parcel of us. If we don't, we may enjoy life for some time, but a crisis will come and we will find that we cannot continually enjoy abundant living. The first major value of those who live abundantly is love. Love. Here, love, I'm not talking about a funny, nice feeling towards the opposite sex. Sadly to say, now even some people claim they can have romantic sexual love with the same sex. No. But what I'm talking about here is goodwill towards God and man. Jesus said that all the commandments are summed up in love God and love your neighbor. Here I want to emphasize the second part, love of neighbor. When you want to live abundantly, you must love people. In other words, in all your relationships, you must be seeking the welfare and the goodwill of the other party. This is almost counterintuitive in a world whereby you have to be self-assertive, the world whereby, if we not go sit down, make you cheat us, as we say it in Ghana, or, if you don't take care of yourself, nobody is going to take care of you. Let me tell you, if you want to live abundantly, you must have goodwill towards other people. It's a paradox. The more you live and seek the welfare of others, the more you have inner peace, the more your relationship with others improve, and the more you enjoy life abundantly. That's why when Jesus Christ was going to say, "New commandment I give to you, that you love one another as I have loved you." Goodwill towards all men, as we say it often during the Christmas season, is a key to abundant living. And I want to encourage you not to take it as a religious cliche, but something that is going to characterize your life if you want to live abundantly. Basically, you should have no enemy. Did you hear me? The corollary of love is to have no enemy. Does that mean that people will not hate you? Yes. In fact, Jesus said that woe to you if all men think they are on good terms with you. It means that somehow you are a chameleon. So it's not a matter of all men thinking good of you, but you not thinking of evil of anybody. In this world, I know people who will not even take me to 1 mile if they were given opportunity to kill me. I hear some 1 or 2 people have been speaking so much against me on radio and television and others. No, I cannot control what other people think about me. Especially in Ghana, in the political arena, when you say anything, people calculate, is it in our favor politically? So that you have to be so-called politically correct. No. A Christian has to speak the truth, and that may offend other people. And therefore, they will have ill will towards you. That's not what I'm talking about. You cannot help other people's attitude towards you, but you have a control over your attitude towards all men. And it is your responsibility, if you are going to live abundantly, to have no bitterness, anger, ill will towards other people. It doesn't mean that, for example, I will not speak against people ruling Ghana or doing something with evil intention or corruption and the rest. But in our hearts, if we want to live abundantly, we should hate no one. Others may think otherwise, but that is their problem. But if you want to live abundantly, you must love all men. That means that you must seek their good will. So the first value is that of love. The Bible says in the 1 Corinthians chapter 13 verse 13, it says 3 things abide, and the 3 things were weightier things. The first is faith, and here he's talking about trust in the Lord Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior, because without it you are going to hell. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. No one will go to the Father except through faith in his death and resurrection for sinners. For no one can pay for their sins other than Christ has done for them. And then the second was hope, the hope of an eternal future. And Paul says that faith, hope, and love abide. But he adds, the greatest is love. In our relationship with human beings and others, if we have goodwill and making love the greatest in our relationships, you are going to enjoy life abundantly. In other words, if you are going to enjoy life abundantly, you should have no ill will towards anyone. Others may not think so about you in your actions. I remember, when I was a public servant, for example, if you see that someone is trying to receive bribe and you say that, look, what you are doing is wrong, and if you act this way, you will be reported. In fact, they have the audacity of saying that, I thought you were a Christian. In other words, you are not a Christian if you go and report me. If I see you stealing, I'll report you. If even my child is caught in corruption, I'll report the child to the police. It doesn't mean I don't like the person, but the law requires that there should be a certain way of behavior. That is not what I'm talking about. We are talking about the fact that in my innermost being, I should not look at anybody as my personal enemy. Yes, you may resist those who are nation wreckers. When you have MPs who live for their stomach and destroy, do everything, bribe their way to win elections, you may oppose them, but you should never hate them. And Jesus goes further. If those you classify as your enemy has a need, and it is in your power to meet it, you should go ahead and do so. Let love be your greatest value in your relationship with others. There is a second other value for those who live abundantly, and it is related to the heart. Is summed up in the word integrity. I believe that if you want to live abundantly, you must be a man or a woman of integrity. In other words, your inward processes, your thoughts, and your actions must be characterized by honesty, trustworthiness. You must be a man or a woman who is credible. It must be, even those who consider you as your enemy should be able to say, you can take him or her for their words. That is the beauty of being a man or a woman of integrity. You don't have to remember what you said yesterday, because what you will say today will be the same. You don't have to cover your tracks. You are able to walk and live securely. I have found in Ghana, it's quite interesting, especially if by God's grace you are a bit known, and say you say to a president or a leader or a government that, what you are doing is okay, and give them, I will say in Twi, wabonabaso, encourage them. And the next time they do something wrong and you say this is not right, the retort is that we thought he was with us. In other words, they don't expect you to be a person of integrity, because when they do wrong, you are not supposed to criticize them. That is wrong for any person. And if you do so, you will find that you yourself will not enjoy abundant life. Abundant living, therefore, requires being a man or a woman of integrity. You have integrity, you are accountable, and you are transparent in your relationship with one another. I remember one day when we had been married for not too long, some people who knew me and thought that I was a hard man. God forgive me for my hardness and try to make me gentler. But that's not the issue. But they asked my wife, how do you live with this difficult man? And to my surprise, my wife's response was, who told you that my husband is difficult? Which of course I thought was a flattery. Every woman is likely to say something nice about the husband. But what he said thereafter to me made me commit myself to a life of transparency and integrity. He said that my husband is such a man that when you live with him for 1 week, you know him thoroughly. He has no double life, and therefore you can manage him. It is important that we live as men and women of integrity, our values. Others may think of us otherwise. They may hate us actually for the same reason. It's like John the Baptist. He had his head cut, executed, because he told Herod, it is wrong for you to seduce and take your brother's wife and marry her. And it cost him his head. Thank God Jesus describes John as the greatest ever born of a woman. I want to encourage you to be a person who has goodwill towards others and who is a man or a woman of integrity. Let me move on to the third. If you want to enjoy abundant life, you must have this as one of your key arsenals in your value chain, and that is humility. Humility is something which I have to be very careful about, because people consider a humble person as a weak person, or the one who goes, even you want him to do something, say, I can't do it, it is above me, and the rest. No, that is not the humility I'm talking about. Humble people really have right assessment of their capacity. They don't undervalue themselves. If they have the capacity or capability, they acknowledge it, but they subject it not to pride. The opposite of humility is not saying, oh, I can't do it, but it's pride. Being arrogant, looking down on others. When you look down on others, they are likely to hate you, to despise you. Humility to me is strength under control. When Jesus Christ, the Son of God, was on earth, he says, come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. For I am gentle and humble at heart. It's a heart condition whereby you think soberly about yourself. Yes, you know about your capacities, but they are gifts and instruments to minister and to do your job and to act in such a way that others around you would be better. I believe that humility is the most desired characteristic that people around you seek in you. And as much as we all fall short of it, we should aspire to be humble. I believe that if you have goodwill towards others, that is love. If you live and aspire to be a person of integrity, and above all, humble, you are yourself going to live abundantly, irrespective of the conditions you find yourself or the attitude towards others. The last value of those who live abundantly is what I call service. Service to others. Even when they are in leadership, they are servant leaders. But the service is such that you can serve other people, as we have as our motto at Christian High, for God, family, and country. It's one of those things which, when it is part of your values, you will never exhaust the opportunities to exercise it. Everywhere there's a need. Some who are seniors, you want to serve them to achieve their highest, their utmost for their highest. I used to say, when I was not necessarily a CEO, I said that if you are number 2, for example, your only business is to help number 1 to succeed. Not as they are saying now, as a driver's mate, but a helper whom you want the number 1 to succeed. That is the job. So even at the highest level, when you are number 2, service should be your opportunity. Then there are so many below you whom you can serve and help. In the family, what an opportunity to be a father, to serve my wife, to serve my children, and to make sure that they become the best that they could be. Unfortunately, in the house, oftentimes we think it's the responsibility of the wife in our culture to serve the husband. That comes from the devil. The husband should lead as a servant leader, seeking to bring out the best from the other people. And thank God, if they do, their wives will automatically reciprocate in unlimited service. Service, caring for one another, seeking their best interests, and wherever you have the opportunity to lift other people or to meet their needs, doing so. If you happen to be privileged to be financially better off, lifting your, not only your nuclear family, but your whole extended family, your neighbors, such a wonderful opportunity for us. And when it comes to service, the poor and the rich all have opportunity to serve. In fact, these days, I always laugh because a lot of young people tell me, especially after a speech or a motivational session, they say that, "Oh, Prof, we want you to be our mentor." And as I say always, I say yes. Because I know they will never get near me. After that talk, I will never see them again. Because they are not willing to serve their mentors, because you learn by serving. So service is not a matter of those who are up. Everyone at every level has opportunity to do so. Let me conclude by recapping. I believe that there are so many characteristics of effective people. We're talking about people who lead themselves, who are able to achieve a lot. But I am now talking about abundant living, enjoying life. And it seems to be a paradox that if you want to enjoy life personally, the values that you must cultivate are, number 1, love, goodwill towards others. Number 2, integrity. None of us is perfect, but our aspiration is to live an honest life, accountable life, transparent life, so that our yes is yes and our no is no. The third is humility. Not saying, no, I can't do it, no, gentle, I'm just. No, we are talking about power under control. You may have education, you may have money, you may have prestige, you may have status, but that is subjected to meeting other people's need. That is humility. And above all, being a person or a woman of service. Your whole life. People, sometimes I wonder why people are trying to make millions and billions if the purpose is not to use it to serve. Your education. Why has God given you the opportunity to be a professor, a doctor, that you may serve? May God help us to live a life abundantly living, by loving, by being a man and woman of integrity, by being humble, and above all, by being a man or a woman who lives to serve, whether in leadership or not. May God bless you as we continue our series in abundant living. And may this paradox of being loving, being humble, being a man of integrity, and being a person who serves guide us as we seek and aspire to live abundantly. Please, next week again, there will be a posting on YouTube, but always meet me on ZFM 101.9, and let us enjoy abundant living, not in theory, but in practice. The Lord be with you.